Hey guys, Patrick from B Squared. Today I wanted to show you guys the current iteration of my sim racing setup. We'll go into all the gear that I'm using. I'll link all of the gear in the description. And the setup does work for both VR and single screen playing, so if you guys want to be able to switch between, or if you're interested in getting a VR setup like mine, I'll show you how it works. Alright, so getting started with my setup, I'm actually playing with a laptop here, and it's just a Dell G5 gaming laptop. It's got a RTX 2070 card and an i7 processor, so it's got quite a punch. But the problem I'm having with it is it only has 500 megabytes of local storage, and it's a Western Digital 4 terabyte gaming hard drive, and I use that to store all the games. And as you'd know with the Assetto Corsa, you can load up a lot of cars and tracks and stuff, so the storage space really adds up here. Moving on to the monitor and monitor stand, it's actually set up with a desk clamp monitor stand, which is this big guy here. It's mounted to an IKEA storage unit, which is just this big 4 square box, and it doubles as a storage unit and as a table for my screen here. So this is mounted to the edge, and the reason being is I actually wanted the freedom to adjust how far back the screen is relative to the seat. I actually have my VR sensors here mounted to the sim rig itself. If I move the TV any more forward, which is more ideal for single screen driving, it's actually going to block off the sensors for when I want to do VR. So this TV positioning here is like sort of like the in-between. So from the perspective of the driver here, you guys can see there's not a lot of like wiring clutter. Obviously back here, it's quite a mess. I'm looking to fix this, and I think the solution is tucking a lot of it inside the container here. But for now, this is the way it is, because I'm still unsure of how I want to keep like the VR and how I want to keep everything working. So the biggest problem with me running off the laptop though is definitely the fact that I'm limited on USB slots. So I need a USB slot for the keyboard, I need a USB slot for the shifter and the wheel. For VR, you need several USB slots for the headset and the sensors. So I've had to resort to using these like USB hubs here. Speaking of connections, this laptop only has 2 video outs. And for VR, if I want to be able to see everything that's happening on the screen as well as in the headset, I needed a workaround for this, because the VR setup comes with an HDMI cable, and so does the TV. I had to resort to getting one of these like conversion kits, basically HDMI to Type-C. The TV output is a Type-C, and the HDMI output for the VR is connected directly to the laptop. So that's how all of that works. It's quite a mess, and I had to deal with having to get all this set up, and I hope I saved you guys some time if you wanted to run a setup like this off of a laptop. Getting into the simulator setup itself, I am playing on a Logitech G920, which works for both my laptop and my Xbox down there. The shifter here is a Thrustmaster TH8A, and I've changed the shift knob to a GM truck shift knob because it, I don't know, is bigger. I like it better than the original one. The seat here, my friend Julian, shout out Jules MR2, was throwing this away, and I basically took it from his house and brought it home, and that's the story with that. The cockpit is all Marauder Racing. This is just a pretty basic Amazon like steering wheel setup, and it came with the mounting system for the seat as well. As for the VR, I had to come up with an interesting solution for the sensors. The little stands that they usually come with didn't go tall enough, and I couldn't find a really good place to put them because either the TV would be blocking them. So that's why this is sort of like a compromise setup. It's not the best, but it is pretty simple. That works for both single screen playing and VR. I'm using this wireless keyboard trackpad combo here, made by Logitech. This is the K400, to just move myself around the screen here without having like another keyboard. This thing's like awfully light, so it works perfectly for my use. I've got the headphones here from the Oculus to give me the car sound, and this is nice because I know if I'm playing against people in VR, I can have a sense of where the car is coming from, whether it's left or right. And this is why I play in VR. You know, when I want to train my head movements, when I want to get the rhythm of a track and get that muscle memory of like where to turn my head, all of that is trained really well in VR. Better so than my single screen setup, just because I can't look ahead through the corner, whereas VR I can turn my head any which way I want. You can see the little bit of the glitching there with the VR, and this is sort of the negative of using a VR headset versus like a controlled screen. And it's mainly because of these delays that you kind of don't want to use this for a competition sort of environment. But otherwise, if you're training yourself on a track and car combo, I think this is great to learn the direction of the track And even if you intend to play on a single screen later on, VR is good so that you have an understanding of where the track flows. And it's sort of like in real life where if you have a blind corner, at least you understand what to anticipate, what comes around, if you have more like memory of the track itself. So if you're playing on a single screen setup and it's flat, there's not a lot of field of view, VR is good to understand what happens outside of the boundaries of the screen. But with the amount of computing power you need to play in VR, as well as the time delay between what you're seeing versus what the game is projecting, I wouldn't say VR is ideal for like a competition setup unless your computer is powerful enough to send out the game faster. But in terms of immersion, in terms of building the habits, the muscle memory, looking through a corner just like this is what you cannot do in a single screen unless you've got some of like the really large monitors. VR is probably the most accessible way to get into an immersive driving setup like this. So you guys saw me playing in VR. That was a quick rundown of how it works for me. Using the keyboard, using the headset, using the shifter and the wheel, and how this entire system works. And with respect to the comments I made about the computer having some sort of time delay between the headset, that is not so much of a problem if you're still in the learning phase. I'm using VR to train on all the tracks that I drive in real life. I'm using VR to train my head movements and looking through corners, because vision is the #1 most important thing when you're in the car. I think this is definitely helping me become a little bit more competitive in real life. I don't think VR specifically will make you any faster in simulation racing rather than just getting in seat time. As well, I'm playing on a very basic Logitech wheel, and that's definitely not helping with the feel of the car or catching slides or understanding when the car is becoming unsettled. Like, there's a lot of bottlenecks to my sim racing in which I don't think the VR is having the biggest impact here. I think it's definitely the wheel, the pedal setup. So if I were to improve something next on my setup, it would definitely be my wheel and pedals. I would still continue to play in VR because it helps out for my real life racing. I would still continue to play in VR even when I'm in a competitive race because I still don't think I'm at the skill level where the latency is going to matter. I'd rather have the fun and immersion that comes with playing in VR. So it's up to you guys to decide how you want to set up your sim racing. If you want to be really competitive in sim racing, you can probably just skip VR and go with the triple screen or go with the curved single screen right away. Make sure your screen is up close to the steering wheel if you can, and then set your field of view settings so that it's at the most realistic positioning, and therefore your body will naturally react better to it because it's used to seeing what it does when you're out driving in real life. But if you want to train up on local tracks, if you want to train your vision for looking ahead in real life, VR is probably the way to go. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you at the track.